Hello there, everybody. This is Mel Allen. Baseball contemplates the end of a memorable season. Fans everywhere will remember the American League Championship Series because nobody could have visualized the recollections these games produced. Imagine the unimaginable, because that's what the National League Championship Series was, and fans will reminisce about this one forever. A 10-year retrospective looks back on some of the game's great plays, as hindsight helps us recapture the thrills for your mind's eye. Reflecting back on an unforgettable year, we'll leave lasting impressions with constant reminders of the game. So get set for our total recall, right here on This Week in Baseball, celebrating our 10th anniversary.
Happy anniversary number 10 for This Week in Baseball. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Fernando. American League Championship Series in Boston, Fenway Euphoria.
The Red Sox are trying to go from last rights to the World Series. And they do.
Indeed they did, rebounding remarkably from a 3-1 deficit against the California Angels in a series that characterized comeback. Boston's Fenway Park hosted the first 2 games of the series. In the opener, the Red Sox were relying on a 24-game winner, Roger Clemens, who sailed through the first inning. But in the second, California jumped on Clemens for 4 runs, added another in the third. Meanwhile, Angel starter Mike Witt was in command, pitching no-hit ball for 5 2/3 innings, finishing with a complete Game 5 hitter as the Angels scored 3 more in the 8th to win easily 8-1. Game 2. Boston fans pinned their hopes on starter Bruce Hurst, who didn't disappoint by going all the way, scattering 11 hits as the Red Sox rolled to a 9-2 victory, squaring the series at a game apiece. Game 3. There was no disguising the anticipation in California, where Boston's Dennis Oil Ken Boyd gave up 4 runs and took the loss. Angel starter John Candelaria got the win, going 7 innings, striking out 5. Final score, 5-3. With Angel rookie Wally Joyner sidelined by an infection, Roger Clemens figured to have an easier time of it in Game 4, and sure enough, he carried a 3-0 shutout through 8 innings. But Doug DeCinces broke up the shutout bid with a home run to lead off the bottom of the 9th. That shot prompted Boston manager John McNamara to send Clemens to the showers and bring on relief ace Calvin Schiraldi. But the Angels weren't finished. When a fly ball was misjudged by Jim Rice, they scored again to pull within 1 run. Schiraldi then loaded the bases, but got 2 outs and had 2 strikes on Brian Downing. 1 strike away from victory, Schiraldi struck disaster.
The 1-2 to Downing. Hits him! It hits him with the bases loaded! We're tied 3-3. The most unlikely of developments has just unfolded here at Anaheim Stadium.
The score stayed even at 3-all until the bottom of the 11th, when veteran Bobby Grich, with 1 out, drove home the game winner for a dramatic 4-3 Angel victory, 1 game away from the pennant. But turnabout is fair play. And in Game 5, Rich Gedman got the Red Sox going with a 2-run homer in the 2nd inning off Mike Witt. Bob Boone homered for the Angels to make it 2-1. And then things got sweaty for the Sox. 6th inning, Dave Henderson in center field, Bobby Grich batting.
To center field, and deep, and carrying, and gone. Was just off his
A tremendous effort, but an oh-so-costly miss, because it gave California the lead. And things were looking even better for the Angels when they added 2 more runs in the 7th, taking a 5-2 lead into the unbelievable 9th inning. Boston appeared all but finished, with Angel starter Mike Witt still going strong when, with 1 on and 1 out, Don Baylor came to bat.
To left field, left center, and Dee Pettis goes back, leaps, and she's gone. And it's 5-4. What a great series. Whew.
1 out after Baylor's clutch homer, Witt was removed. And after the Red Sox put another runner on base, Donnie Moore was called upon to face Henderson. 2 out, 2 strikes on the center fielder looking for sweet redemption.
To left field and deep and down he goes back and it's gone. Unbelievable. Anaheim Stadium was a strike away from turning into fantasy land. And now the Red Sox lead 6-5.
How about that? But a Boston bash was premature because the Angels put a man on second in the last of the 9th.
It's Shockley by Barrett for a base hit. Evans can throw. Jones is coming home. The throw home is there. No, he's safe.
Man alive, 6-6. But in the top of the 11th, here came that man Henderson again, batting with the bases loaded, none out. A sacrifice fly gave Boston the lead again at 7-6. No doubt that this Rock'em Sock'em game ranks with the most exciting in playoff history, and it was left to Calvin Schiraldi to close the door. What a comeback! The Sox were born again, heading back to Boston for Game 6. California still looking for just 1 win. The Angels were determined to finish it off, and they got going early with 2 runs in the top of the 1st. But then Oil Can Boyd settled down and allowed only 1 more run through 7 innings. Meanwhile, with Spike Owens showing the way on a 4-for-4 performance at the plate, the Boston offense exploded. When it was over, the Red Sox had won the ball game 10-4. Forcing a decisive 7th game in one of the most compelling league championship series ever played. Boston emerged as number 1 at last, in a large part because Roger Clemens would not be denied. In his 3rd bid for a playoff victory, Clemens went 7 innings, allowing only 4 hits, 1 run. Jim Rice had a hand in helping the Sox score 8 runs, 7 unearned, with a 3-run blast off Angel starter John Candelaria. Calvin Schiraldi came on to finish with a flourish, sending Boston in quest of its first World Championship since 1918, while Gene Mauch was again denied his first pennant because the Sox just wouldn't fold. What a time, and time now for this week's quiz, brought to you by Nissan, who invites you to test drive their new Go Anywhere Nissan Pathfinder at your Nissan dealer now. The California Angels have appeared in 2 other league championship series, losing to Baltimore in '79 and Milwaukee in '82. The Houston Astros had 1 other appearance, losing to the Phillies in '80. But for this week's quiz, can you name the only 2 teams, 1 in each league, who've appeared in league championship series play and not won a game? Stay tuned. National League Championship Series. In Houston, the Mets made it happen.
1 more out, the Mets are in the World Series. Now the stretch. The pitch on the way. Swing and a miss! Swing and a miss! Struck him out! Struck him out! Mets win it! The Mets have won it! They're in the World Series.
It all began in Houston, and right from the start, it was clear that this series would not be a snooze. Game 1, punctuated by outstanding defense from both teams. starter Mike Scott was out of this world, tossing a 5-hit shutout, striking out 14 to tie a league championship series record. Only 2 Mets got as far as second base. Just 1 reached third. The Astros got their only run courtesy of Glenn Davis in the second inning.
High fly ball, deep center field. Dykstra going back to the wall. It's gone.
One mistake by Met starter Dwight Gooden was all the Astros needed to win it. But the Mets were able to regroup for Game 2 behind starter Bob Ojeda, who went all the way, scattering 10 hits, but allowing only 1 run, as New York won it handily 5-1 to square the series at 1 game apiece. The scene shifted to Shea Stadium for Game 3. New York was hoping to nail it down early, but instead the Astros took off first, tagging Ron Darling for 2 runs in the first inning, and Bill Doran's 2-run homer in the second made it 4-0. But Davy Johnson's ball club battled back, thanks mostly to a fired-up Darryl Strawberry, who belted a 3-run homer in the 6th inning to tie the game at 4. Mets fans appeared unconcerned when Houston scored a run in the 7th. Wally Backman led off the 9th with a bunt single, and whether he ran out of the baseline was hotly disputed by Astros skipper Hal Lanier. And then with 1 out, Lenny Dykstra stepped into hitting position.
Hit to right. Fast going back. It's gone.
Jubilation, celebration. After hitting only 8 homers all season, Dykstra's drive off reliever Dave Smith delivered a 6-5 win. But Hal Lanier's Astros came right back in Game 4. And once again, it was Mike Scott taking the spotlight, this time with a spellbinding 3-hitter. Scott became the first pitcher ever to throw 2 complete games in a league championship series. And when it was all over, he was named the series' most valuable player. But the Mets got hot once again in Game 5 with Dwight Gooden throwing smoke. Houston's only run came in the 5th inning when New York was unable to turn a double play with 1 out and a man on third. Meanwhile, 39-year-old Nolan Ryan was even more masterful, striking out 12, giving up only 2 hits over 9 innings. Ryan's only backward step came in the 5th inning when Darryl Strawberry connected for a solo home run that tied the score at 1-all. It stayed that way until the bottom of the 12th. With Charlie Kerfeld pitching, 1 out, a man on second, Gary Carter delivered the game-winning hit. Carter had been 1 for 21 in the series, but that second hit gave the Mets a 2-1 victory and put them only 1 win away from the pennant. Back to the Astrodome for Game 6, and what a game it was. The Mets appeared out of it with Bob Knepper in control on the mound and the Astros up 3-0. But New York rallied for 3 runs in the 9th inning to knock Knepper out and tie the score. Wally Backman untied it, but not until the top of the 14th inning, giving the Mets a 4-3 lead. Then up rose Billy Hatcher in the bottom of the 14th, hammering a game-tying home run with 1 out. What a heart-stopper. The Mets then put 3 more runs across in the top of the 16th to lead 7-4. But sure enough, the astounding Astros came right back with 2 of their own to trail by 1. And so it came down to Jesse Orozco facing Kevin Bass, 2 out, runners on first and second. And that was it, a stunning end to a spectacular game and a fantastic series. And now, let's find out the answer to this week's Nissan quiz. The Minnesota Twins are one of two teams who've never won a game in League Championship Series play, blanked by the Birds of Baltimore in both 1969 and 1970. The other team, the Atlanta Braves, lost them all to the New York Mets in 1969 and the St. Louis Cardinals in 1980. It's time for This Week in Baseball's 10th anniversary flashback, and upcoming a flashback over all 10 years. Crowd-pleasing defense is one of the most thrilling aspects of baseball. So in the final week of our 10th anniversary season, we present some of the most dynamic defensive spectacles of the decade. We start in 1979, Boston's Butch Hobson. Same year, Dodger Von Joshua. 1982, Atlanta's Jerry Royster. Baltimore's Al Bumbry in 83. The Yankees' Willie Randolph, 82. Detroit's Chet Lemon, 83. Freddie Lynn first with Boston in 78, then with the Angels in 82, and finally with Baltimore in 84. The Cubs' Mel Hall in 82. Yankee Dave Winfield in 81, and teammate Ken Griffey in 85. The White Sox' Julio Cruz, also in 85. In 83, Milwaukee's Jim Gantner. For the 79 Cubs, Ted Sizemore, and for the 85 Angels, Gary Pettis. St. Louis Cardinal Ozzie Smith in 85, and another from the Wizard of Oz in 86. Also in 86, Dick Schofield of California. 86 again with Tony Fernandez of Toronto. Still in 86, Eric Davis of the Reds. One more time. Sometimes fans get into the act, like in 79 when Mike Jorgensen homered for the Cardinals. Barehanded. If that doesn't get you going, how about this barehander by Ozzie Smith when he was a Padre in 78? Worth another look. Oh, man. And now perhaps the greatest play of the decade, all the way from Japan. Hey, can you believe that? From sayonara to see you later. You know, fans, every baseball season leaves a legacy of unforgettable moments. From April through October, the faces and places that fill the majors form indelible images that carry us through the long, cold winter. And so here's a baseball blanket from 86, our final scene.
Think in terms of bridges burned. Think of seasons that must end. See the rivers rise and fall. They will rise and fall again. Everything must die again, like an ocean to a shore, like a river to a stream, like a river to a stream. It's the famous final scene. And how you tried to make it work. Did you really think it could? Try like a guest who stayed too long. Now it's finally time to leave. Yes, it's finally time to leave. As the light fades from the screen, from the famous final scene.
Gosh, what a season. And baseball's most famous final scene is underway, the World Series. Sure hope you enjoyed, folks, as we've enjoyed our 10th anniversary season with you. Thanks, everybody. See you next year on This Week in Baseball.